Have you ever heard someone say you should never build your house on the sand? Or maybe you were watching a movie and saw the hero get caught in quicksand. Or maybe you built a sand castle and it stood until the waves came in and it collapsed. Have you ever wondered about the science of that? The science is physics, and it's all about 5 forces. Gravity. Gravity is the force that pulls everything down to the earth. It's the reason that the sand is falling down through the funnel. It's also the reason that you can't float in the air. Then there's friction. Friction is the force resulting from 2 objects rubbing up against one another. The energy is discharged as heat, which is why your hands get warm. But when we look at the sand grains are irregularly shaped. And so the rough edges of the sand grains bump up against each other, and so they won't go flat. So even though gravity is trying to pull them down, friction is keeping them from forming a flat layer, which is what gravity would want to do with them. Have you ever wondered why water droplets are domed and have very distinct edges? The answer is cohesion. Cohesion is the force of attraction between like substances. In this case, the attraction of one water molecule for another water molecule. They hold to each other very strongly, and they hold to each other more strongly than they can to the air, and they hold to each other more strongly than they do to this surface, which they're attracted to by adhesion, because that's something different than it is, which has caused them to flatten out a little bit as gravity pulls on them. But they maintain that shape because of the cohesion, the attraction of themselves of water molecules for other water molecules. And this property that causes them to have that shape and that distinct edge, sharp edge, is called surface tension. The powdered sugar particles are much, much finer than the sand particles, in the range of the size of silt particles. Those really small particles have a lot more surface area, so there's a lot more space for friction to work and operate as those particles bump against each other. And the very small particles also will begin to have some cohesion, some ability to hold on to one another because they're so small. And again, when you get to clays, that becomes even more powerful. So here we have friction and gravity. Here we have friction, gravity, and maybe a little bit of cohesion. And then here we have only gravity and cohesion. The water holds on to itself, but there's no friction. And so all the water molecules are holding on to themselves, and gravity is able to pull them to a flat layer here at the top. Adhesion and cohesion are responsible for the shape of our sandcastle. Adhesion is the attraction of water for something that's not like it, like my finger, or like a sand grain. The last force is pressure, and we'll talk more about that when we get to quicksand, but pressure is a result of an external force. So I have water in my pipette, and when I apply the force, I can squirt the water out, even up against the pull of gravity. That's very important when we start thinking about how does quicksand work.